Hello everyone, welcome back. Don't adjust your TV set, don't adjust your monitor. It is I, the original YouTube sensation Jazz Fitness here, live from the fitness center. And you know what? I've come here today, as you can see. I've had a lot going on in my life, a lot going on in the world of Jazz Fitness. I've made my return to some shows, I've scouted the sites, I've looked at a few different companies out there who maybe Jazz Fitness might be coming to. We'll see. I'll keep you posted on that. But I'm here to talk to you about something that's been bothering me for 24 hours now. It's been killing me, and you know what? It needs to be said. I'm tired of it. Now let me tell you something. Before Jazz Fitness got into the wrestling business, what made Jazz Fitness want to get into the wrestling business? I grew up watching wrestling like anybody else. I grew up watching wrestling greats. I grew up watching the greatest show of all time, WrestleMania. Produced by the WWF and the WWE, or whatever you want to call it, this month. Well, let me tell you something. When I think of WrestleMania, when I think of great WrestleMania moments, I think of matches like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Randy the Macho Man Savage. That was a great match. That was a great WrestleMania. I think of King Kong Bundy versus Hillbilly Jim and the Little Midgets. That was a great WrestleMania. That was a great moment. I think of Andre the Giant picking Big John Studd up and dropping him on his back, winning the money in WrestleMania 1. And I also think of Mike Tyson and Roddy Piper in a boxing match, mano a mano. Granted, it didn't win up so well, but hey, it was WrestleMania. And I think of great stars like Regis Philbin and half a dozen other great guys and great tough guys. I think of Bam Bam Bigelow versus Lawrence Taylor. Great match. Well, decent match anyway. Now I've been in the wrestling business quite a little bit now, and I grew up watching wrestling, what I loved. I grew up watching WrestleMania. What I saw last night was nothing like WrestleMania that I remember. Now I know this video is going to be going all over the place, and I know I'm going to make a lot of people upset, and I'm going to piss off a lot of people, and I understand that, and for that I apologize. No, I don't. I'm Jazz Fitness. I tell it how it is, I say how it is. I tell you how it is because this is how I believe it, and deep down inside you people believe it too, whether you want to believe it or not. I'm telling you what you should believe, because it is accurate. What I saw last night, now granted I didn't see the whole show because I have a life. And my life goes beyond sitting in front of my PS3 watching the WWE Network. By the way, the WWE Network is a great thing. I get to watch real WrestleManias with real WrestleMania moments with real matches and real talent and a real great show. That thing last night, I never want to see that again. From the first moment, the first match, Daniel Bryan versus Triple H. Okay, I give you this. You want to start pushing somebody. I understand that. Are you kidding me though? Triple H, the guy who went 2 years in a row against The Undertaker, who took tombstones and last rides and all kinds of other things the last 2 years with The Undertaker. A kick to the head beats Triple H? Okay, put aside that. And then you're going to have a Battle Royal. Biggest Battle Royal ever. Which I don't see the difference between the WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble at that point. You've got 30 guys. By the way, it's a travesty. Half of those guys had to be in that Battle Royal because the WWE couldn't find something else to do with them. Why were they in that Battle Royal? Because that's exactly what I just said. The WWE had nothing else to do with them that night. So in order to give them their WrestleMania moment, let's throw them in a Battle Royal table and get their heads kicked in for, about an hour or so. And then, John Cena and Bray Wyatt, huh? That was a great match? Okay, let me ask you something this. I didn't see the tag team match. I know there was a 4-team tag team match. Tell me why the Wyatts, pardon the stuttering, but I haven't had enough coffee today, and that stuff really annoyed me last night, so I'm all jazzed up. So, the Wyatts had no part of the tag team match, but yet they're pushing them. But instead, they're going to have them at ringside to watch Bray Wyatt lose to John Cena again. So you're going to build this guy up, Bray Wyatt, build him up to be this monster, this tough guy, and then you're going to squash him because Cena can't get over his own ego? Because Cena doesn't want to give him the rub? Are you kidding me? Whatever. Put that aside. Okay, so far I put aside the fact that Daniel Bryan has beaten Triple H with a kick to the head, and I put aside the fact that the Big Show, the legitimate giant, lost in the Battle Royal. Okay, putting aside that, putting aside the Wyatt family had no part of the actual match, but yet they were ringside to watch the guy lose to John Cena again. Then I'm going to put it also aside the fact that we're going to put aside the fact that the Shield beat Kane and the New Age Outlaws like that. I like the Shield, don't get me wrong. I think it's a great aspect. Same thing with any other faction that's come before them. The Wyatts is a great faction too, like every faction that's come before them. And, you know, it's great that they want to rekindle the Godwins. It's fine. It's great that they want to rekindle the New World Order. That's great too. It's great that they want to initiate all these old things that they're coming back over and over again. Fine, whatever. I'm going to put that aside. Talented guys, though. I'll give you that. However, let's move on with the night. I tune in. The actual match I get to watch in full force is The Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. Okay. I'm going to put aside my personal feelings because The Undertaker is my favorite wrestler of all time. Okay? Putting aside that, I have to ask, what were they thinking? What was The Undertaker thinking? You know, I always had high hopes at WrestleMania that when The Undertaker finally lost his streak, it would be against someone that of high caliber, someone that actually had wherewithal, someone who The Undertaker had high respects for. You're telling me The Undertaker had no respect for Shawn Michaels. He had no respect for Triple H, no respect for CM Punk, no respect for Batista, or anybody else that came before him, but the person he highly respects, the man that he decided to give the rub, is Brock Lesnar. That's my worst Paul Heyman impression, sorry. That's the best you got. Well, my friends, the suit's off now. I am Jazz Fitness. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. I think, you know what, I don't know what they were thinking. I know as a fan, putting aside my personal beliefs, being from the business, I have to tell you, I was disgraced by the fact that The Undertaker, my favorite wrestler of all time, can go out there in the last 4 years, take Sweet Chin Music, sledgehammers, chair shots, Hell in a Cell, Sweet Chin Music, pedigrees, elbows off the top rope, pedigrees, more chairs, more sledgehammers, more tables going through tables, and half a dozen other things. But yet, 3 F5s beats The Undertaker? Are you kidding? How about the fact the announcers totally disbelieved that The Undertaker was getting his head kicked in by Brock Lesnar? Do I believe that? No, I do not. They said at one point he was getting pummeled. He couldn't even stand. Are you kidding? I've seen The Undertaker take on 10, 11, 12 guys. And Brock Lesnar's going to keep him down? Okay, whatever. Let's move on with the night. That's enough for The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar. I understand The Undertaker's streak had to end. I understand you had to do it for shock value. But you know what? Brock Lesnar's not the guy to end the streak. Brock Lesnar is a selfish individual who has no respect for the business. I don't care what anybody says. I'll go tooth and nail with anybody about that, including Brock Lesnar. Okay? I don't care what you want to say. The guy's going back to the UFC. He has no care in the world for this business. And The Undertaker gave that pissant the rub. Okay, whatever. Moving on with the night. The match between The Undertaker and the main event was the Divas Challenge, which there was no title change. Let's recant that. The only title to change hands was the main event, and it was a triple threat match. And let me tell you something. I'm going to put aside the fact that I've been in the business a while. I'm going to put aside the fact that I've been watching wrestling since I was a kid. As a fan's perspective, who didn't see Daniel Bryan winning the title last night? Was there anybody that didn't believe that? You've been watching quite a while, right? If you're watching this, you've seen me babble, and now I'm babbling again. But I'm babbling with a purpose now, because I've had friends of mine, I've had fellow colleagues and fellow wrestling brothers say things such, and other people who I hold value in my life, say that WrestleMania was the greatest show they've ever seen last night. It was an awesome show. It was a tight show. It was a well-booked show. And I want to know, what show exactly did you watch last night? Did you watch WrestleMania from 20 years ago, 10 years ago? Those were good WrestleManias. I'll give you that. Because if you watched the same WrestleMania I did last night, you did not see the greatest show of all time. You're telling me that that was a great WrestleMania? That was the worst performance I've ever seen in my life. Okay, I knew it was in trouble when Hogan was going to be the host of the show. Come on. And what was he on the show? Twice the whole night? Vince McMahon, his show, right? It's your show, Vince McMahon. Your WrestleMania 30. I didn't see the whole thing, but was Vince McMahon even shown on the camera once during the entire show? Did he go to the ring and say thank you for coming to WrestleMania 30? No. You know why? I think Vince knew that that show was garbage last night, and he didn't want to have any part of what was being said. Because his jabroni daughter and his son-in-law are burying that company to the ground. I'm sorry. I've been a wrestling fan for a long time. I've been in the wrestling business for a while. And you know what? I don't like where it's going. Okay? I like that you want to push the young guy that nobody expects. But you know what? We expect it. I know Daniel Bryan's going to win the title last night. Who didn't? Obviously. Daniel Bryan was going to come in and win. And he's going to come off a stretcher. And he's going to get this. And he's going to beat Randy Orton and Batista. Who didn't know that was going to happen? Whenever there's going to be a triple threat, I mean, come on. And then there was going to be interference and drama. Okay, whatever. I understand that. But, what? In the words of Stone Cold Steve Austin, what? You want to do the yes, yes, yes chants? Let me tell you something. If CM Punk came out during that last match, I would have chanted yes, yes, yes. If The Undertaker had lost to a legitimate opponent last night, I would have chanted yes, yes, yes. If Triple H had legitimately lost to something other than a kick to the head, I would have chanted yes, yes, yes. If there was more title matches, speaking of title matches, point of interest, greatest WrestleMania of all time. How many titles were on the line last night? 2? 3? And one of them wasn't even shown on actual television. It was actually shown in the pre-show that if you didn't have YouTube or whatever the case may be, you didn't get to see. That was the tag team match, folks. The tag team titles are not important to be on WrestleMania But it's okay to have that other nonsense, right? When was the last time the U.S. title was defended? When was the last time the Intercontinental title was defended? It's WrestleMania. Every title should have been on the line. And I don't want to hear about the Night of Champions, every title's on the line. Nonsense! The WWE prides itself on WrestleMania, the one big show of the year. The granddaddy of them all. The spectacle of spectacles. Last night that was garbage. If I didn't have the network, and I didn't have to pay, and I got my $10 worth, I'll tell you that much. I'm going to tell you something. The minute that show is over, I turned on WrestleMania 3. Then I watched WrestleMania 6, 5, 8, and in that order, to get that memory out of my brain. The Hall of Fame ceremony was better. The Mr. T 3-hour thank you my mother speech was better than WrestleMania last night. I know I'm going to irritate a lot of people with this video. I know there's people who are in the wrestling business who are probably thinking, what do I know? What do I know? I'm putting aside my spectacles of the fact that I've been in the business a bit, and I also know the fact that I'm a fan for life. I put those two things together, and anyone who calls themselves a true wrestling fan would have to say that that was the worst show ever. And if you're a mark, and you think that was the greatest WrestleMania you've ever seen, then my friends, the WWE is lost. I will not watch WrestleMania again if it's like that garbage last night. I'm sorry. That was awful. And if you people think that that was the greatest show of all time, you go back and watch WrestleMania 5, Hogan and the Macho Man. Go back and watch the World Title Tournament when Randy Macho Man Savage won the title. That was great. That was a great show. Compelling story-wise bound. And you know what else? All those other WrestleManias, every title was on the line back in the day. Because they meant something. Nobody cares. Could you even tell me who the tag team champions are? Can you tell me who the Intercontinental champion is right now? Where was the guys during this match? Oh, that's right. The U.S. champion was in a 6-man tag where the match lasted, what, 5 minutes? 2 minutes? And the Intercontinental champion was in a battle royal with several other guys because they couldn't think of what else to do with them? Okay. Either get rid of the title, or get rid of the champion, or do something. In closing, I'd like to say, I just pinpointed everything that I had a problem with last night. It's my opinion, granted, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to be a realist. If you people really think that was the greatest WrestleMania last night, I really am afraid of your values. I really am afraid of what you really think of natural things. If that was the greatest WrestleMania of all time, then I am the greatest champion of all time. Now, granted, Jazz Fitness has never held a title, but I'll tell you something, I could go out there and be more entertaining than that show put together. And I could book a better show with my eyes blindfolded. Because as a fan, I was let down by WrestleMania. As a fellow wrestler, as a person in the business, I have to say I was let down by WrestleMania. And you, my fellow colleagues who are wrestling in the wrestling business, you guys are not helping the cause by backing that. I understand you guys want to help yourselves out and you don't want to shoot the guy in the foot and you don't want the door slammed shut when Vinnie Mac calls you. But I understand that. But for you guys to say that that was the greatest WrestleMania you've ever seen, I've seen independent shows that were better than WrestleMania last night. I've seen Ring of Honor shows. I'll tell you something. Slammiversary TNA a couple of years ago, that was 6 times better than WrestleMania was. I was there for that. I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for this. I really don't care. Because it's been bothering me for 24 hours listening to people say how great WrestleMania was. And there's a few who are like me who said it was a debacle. And I don't want to hear excuses for what was, oh well, this was okay, but that wasn't. No, the show sucked, okay? There was nothing good about that show. You had, plain and simple, it was an awful show. From start to finish, it was unbelievable. It was, oh no, I take that back. It was believable. That was the problem. And the Undertaker swerve thing, losing the thing, that was great. Because it lost me, because I wanted to walk out of the room and shut the TV off after that. Not because the Undertaker lost. That wasn't the problem. It was who he lost to and how he lost. That was my problem. And if you guys can't see the problem in that, and you guys think that that was great booking, and that was a great match, you haven't seen an Undertaker match. You haven't seen a WrestleMania Undertaker match. Go back to WrestleMania, any one of them where Undertaker wrestled. And you gotta tell me, because he's older, he wrestles one match a year. Brock Lesnar's wrestled, what, 6 times this year? And he's lost to CM Punk, he's lost to Triple H, but yet he can't lose to The Undertaker at WrestleMania? Bottom line, I don't care what anybody says, I'm going to stick to my guns. The show last night was awful. Shame on anyone who actually thought that that was a great WrestleMania. You can enjoy it if you're 10 years old and younger, but if you're a hardcore wrestling fan, and you grew up watching WrestleMania 1 all the way up to WrestleMania 30, and you can honestly tell me the WrestleMania 30 last night was better than any of the other WrestleManias, get out of the business. Or don't call yourself a fan, because that was awful. I'm honest with my people. You may not like me, you may hate my guts, you may shut this computer off, you might have already walked away by now, but if you've watched this far, then the bottom line is this. I tell it how it is because I'm passionate about this. Why does it bother me so much? Because I'm not going to sit back and listen to people say how that was the greatest WrestleMania of all time when it was absolute garbage. When someone who is new to the business, who is new to the company, who's new to the wrestling business, can get in there and they think that's greatest because you people are telling them that's great. You are doing something called you're doing something called an injustice to them. You are downplaying them and you're setting them up to fail into the business. If you're going to sit there and tell, you as an expert is going to tell these fans, these young kids, and these people growing up in this business, that WrestleMania last night was the greatest WrestleMania you've ever seen, how great it was, how stacked it was, how unbelievably booked it was, then my friends, you're lying to them. You're setting them up to be people who watch it for a couple months and then drop off. I've been watching since I was, 2 years old? And I continue to watch because I have hope. If I see a WrestleMania like I saw last night ever again, I'm walking away from the WWE. I'm not going to watch another wrestling pay-per-view from the WWE because that was disgusting. And if I didn't have the network and I didn't spend the $10 to get it the rest of the pay-per-views, then I would have wanted my money back. So finally, I'd like to say, with all said and done, WWE, Vince McMahon, Triple H, Stephanie, whoever put that garbage together last night, you just got jazzed by fitness.